we can actually be like that organization that's the go-to for improved cook stoves in Nigeria. Let's work with these people. We're working with Germans, but let's work with Americans as well, so that everybody knows that if you come to this organization, you are like at the one-stop shop for cook stoves. It's all about being true to yourself and being evidently clear to your partners that this is who I am and this is what it is. It's there's no there's a word that is very common to use. You're very transparent and people trust what you're doing. People trust that whatever you say you are doing is what you will do, and they believe in you and your work, So that's how it works.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, number one, you need to be true to yourself, right? And that helps you build credibility over time.
Exactly. And your integrity matters a lot. I think people need to ask themselves the question: how long do I want to run this? If you don't have plans to run it for long, then do whatever you like and leave it alone. But I've always wanted, since my daughter at 8 told me one day when she was with me, I was making a presentation. She said, "Mommy, can I work it at Sosai when I grow up?" And I'm like, "Okay." Then I have a mandate to make it available till you grow up. She's 19 now. And even though she doesn't want to work at Sosai anymore, I mean, I think it was childhood that was making her talk. But it was like something that made me believe you have to keep your business going. You have to make it happen, right? And then subsequently in business trainings, in incubations and all of that, you hear some people telling you, oh, grow the business to the point where you can sell it. And there's some people that are telling you, grow the business, but it's a baby for you. Why do you want to sell your baby? So you need to weigh your pros and cons and realize whether you want to make it a baby that you want to grow and outgrow you, it has to work. If you want it to be a business that you sell, it has to work, because if you don't want to start a business with $10,000 and sell it for 5,000, you want to sell it for $1 million, right? And that's the benefit of selling it, because you're selling it for more, right? So in the long run, you need to decide. And if you decide that you want this thing to live well, then you need to work on your integrity, work on your capabilities, work on yourself as a human being. And yeah, you just have to grow and, be sure we have fullness in self to understand that I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going, I know where I want to go and how I want to get there.
That's very helpful to share. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Now, you've touched on the subject, and I think I want to just kind of leverage that or take that as a cue for us to go a little bit of memory lane, right? Now, back in the day, correct me if I'm wrong, my Hausa is in the gutters, right? I know Sosai used to be something like direct or something like,
So you can look at Sosai from different angles depending on the sentence that what you're talking about. Like I can say, I've been in the Zaifi Sosai, this food is very hot.
Okay.
Nate Makamusu Sosai, I helped them very well.
Okay.
Ina aiki mai kyau sosai, I am good with my integrity. You know, and so that's the root name of Sosai. It's integrity, it's excellence, it's perfection, it's growth. So understanding that's the meaning of our name. Yeah, behind the name, then we want to keep. And if you work in Nigeria, it's not easy to actually keep a good name. But my father said something that I always remember: a good name is better than riches. Even though now people want to make you believe that riches are better than anything. But I don't know. I'm so traditional that I hold true to what my father said, and it's not about you as a person, because you're just a speck of dust in this earth. It's about the people that you support, the people that you help, and how you grow them out of whatever conditions it is that they are in.
Yeah. That's spot on, right? So Sosai stands for excellence. It stands for integrity. It stands for growth.
Yep.
That's a very loaded word. That's a very loaded word. So, Habiba, how did it all start?
Well,
And hang on, let me make it a bit fuller, right? And I don't just want you to tell us from maybe when you register the business and then the ideas. What were the things that happened in your life that probably shape how did you understand what I mean? So maybe how did it start, but what started before the start started, so to say, right?
Okay. So in 2005, we decided, my then husband and I decided that we should start a business, an NGO in renewable energies, because he lived in Germany. He had lived in Europe for over 30 years. And he saw the value of renewable energies in Europe, even there that they don't have access to a lot of, say, solar resources, but they were using solar for a lot. And so we talk about it a lot and all of that. And I thought that, okay, I was working with an NGO then, Hope Forum for People in Distress. And I saw how we went into communities and did a lot of work, educating people and carrying out enlightenment programs and all of that. And I thought, okay, maybe we could do the same. So I decided that we should start an NGO that, will be helping people have access to renewable energies as an option. And because my work also took me into rural communities, and I grew up with a policeman of a father who also made sure that every time he was going to be posted, he was posted to a rural area. I knew that most rural areas didn't have access to energy. And I thought, this is just a no brainer. A solar, why not use it in rural communities? And so we decided to start an NGO anyways in renewable energies. But funny enough, the first thing I used for which that was solar powered was a solar cooker. And you had to bring it out of the compound, cook under the sun and all of that. It was clumsy, but it just showed you the possibilities you could have with this mighty resource. And because we were doing that and just posting it on, sending it to partners and all of that, luckily he works with journalism. He was working with Voice of Germany at that time. So he was able to meet people and share pictures of what we've done and all of that. I mean, there was no social media rife then, but at least he was showing them on his camera and stuff. And
2005, yeah.
yeah, and then so people really thought, oh, they could support us to actually make cooking better in Africa.
Mm,
But they were already doing a project called an improved cook stove, and it was doing it from the point of deforestation,
yeah,
desertification, and
yeah.
that's what's happening in the frontline states in Nigeria, from
Mm,
Borno to Sokoto. So we started doing that project. We registered it with the UNFCCC as a clean development mechanism project, and we were deploying deep cook stoves. Well, with time, we started having issues in the office, between you go to the same office, you go to the same house. It became too much for us, I think. And I was lucky at this moment. I attended the Partnership for Clean Indoor Airport Forum in Uganda. And there I'm coming with all this, my armors of and presentation on how our stove reduces deforestation, it reduces climate effects and all of that. And somebody just comes up and says, in her presentation, she came from the health angle. And she said, one of the things she said, I can't even remember how most of her presentation went, but she said for every 2 hours, you stayed in front in an area where they were cooking with on an open fire, or the house was lit by a kerosene lantern, you had inhaled an equivalent of a pack of cigarette. And that really, really touched me because my mom used to own a mama put. We cooked on by the roadside on open fires by the light of a kerosene lantern. And I'm like, does that mean we've inhaled so much and then I still bought food from women. I still bought akara bread from women who were selling by the roadside with food cooked in on open fires and with achibalbal blaring smoke in their face. And I just couldn't help but think, I know I'm doing this cook stove project. That had always been from a climate change point of view for me. But now it meant people were dying because of this, because she listed a lot of health issues that could come out of this, which was asthma, breathing, sights, all of that. My sister was an asthmatic patient and she died finding it hard to breathe. And I wore glasses. My mom wears glasses. my sisters all wear glasses. I'll basically see, and you know, we came from a family of very light skinned people. Most of us were dark, So it was. I don't know if that was part of it, but I just added that on. And so it just occurred to me that if I could, who knows, maybe it contributed to my sister's condition. And I thought, did families have to die? Family members have to die before we realized that we needed to do something. And then I thought, okay, you're already doing something with the cook stoves. What would you do about the lights? And I was just racking my brains, and I stepped out of the hall, and there was this solar company peddling solar lanterns. So it was like when the student is ready, this teacher appears, and we bought a number of their lamps, tried it with some of the women. They wanted more, and that's how I even started working with women, because the women wanted more lamps, and we had to be buying. And then they supported me getting Kiva loans, and from lanterns to double lights to multi-point lights to communities asking for energy solutions, from boreholes to mini grids to mesh grids. It's just go from there. And yeah, and also putting our work out there, getting the support internationally that we're getting. It's just been going.
Wow. Wow. And thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing that. It's so inspiring to hear that. Just thinking about it now. So say or is say the entity that you registered with your partner then,
Mm.
or is a different
Yeah, it
entity?
was called the Developmental Association for Renewable Energies, because we're thinking of how to make renewable energies more acceptable, more out
Mm.
there for people. So it was called DARE. So there was one that I just decided that let's do it. Me and him had actually, when we were trying to set up the organization, had thought of Solar Systems Agency International, something like Association International. But then, it was later I realized, oh, this is actually an acronym called SOSAI. And it's a good Hausa word for people to
Mm.
do things that are done in the right way. Because I had a quarrel with the whole their activities, that
Mm.
you're not doing things well. I want to do it well. I want to do it very
Yeah.
well. And so it was like doing it SOSAI that's got the name to sit.
Wow. Wow. So
Hmm.
everything just kind of aligned,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
there is a word that kind of articulate that properly. Wow, that's so inspiring to hear. Now, as I think about this, at what point, because you mentioned that he was working as a journalist somewhere in back in the day in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
you were working with a not-for-profit organization, right?
Nigeria.
That
Yeah.
and that took you in Nigeria, that took you into all of the rural areas, and you saw some of these things firsthand, right? But it appears that at some point, what you were doing with Sose got so big that you needed to navigate a transition,
No,
right?
like I said earlier, we were having issues, small issues, and at a point I realized that I was simply going to work, and I wasn't involved anymore. And at that moment, I also thought about it. There were a lot of people who really wanted some of the products that we were talking about and not selling. And I thought, why not? I mean, and solar lanterns was not in our portfolio at that time. So I thought, why not? And then I spoke with him about it. Said, oh, I just feel like I should start something. And I think for him that time, it was like, oh, thank God. Let me get her out of my hair. And he was like, no, go ahead, do your thing and everything. And as soon as I get Sosai registered and started, everything just aligned. Like I said, it was even in Uganda, still at that same conference, that I met someone who told me, oh, we want to do an improved cook stove project in Nigeria, and we would like to look for partners. We know you guys have done it, so we want to know how you did it and all of that. And I decided to take the job on of, doing the due diligence for them. And I told my ex then, I told him, we can actually be like that organization that's the go-to for improved cook stoves in Nigeria. Let's work with these people. We're working with Germans, but let's work with Americans as well, so that everybody knows that if you come to this organization, you are like at the one-stop shop for cook stoves. But he didn't buy the idea. He felt, no, that's not loyalty to our German partners and all of that. And so he really didn't want to. So I asked him, okay, if you're okay by it, I'll do it with them, and I'll do it on that Sose. And he was like, oh, that's very fine. And so, like I said, he was like, good riddance. Let him, get me out of his hair. So I started Sosai. And luckily, these people, the first thing they did was to even pay me for the due diligence. So that gave me enough capital to buy some lanterns. And then they now came back and said they had to do feasibility studies and all of that. So we did all those feasibility studies, being paid for it as a management, So made some really good money. I mean, this is me coming from a place where 150,000 was the biggest money I'd ever held, and the first money they paid me was 6,000 USD for my due diligence. And then when we were going to do the feasibility study, was a contract worth over 100,000 because we were doing it across northern Nigeria. So I mean, it was just like too many things happening at the same time. And then the guy who I met in Uganda then so liked my person. And I was pregnant then for my son. So he was shocked that this makes so much sense. He thought, since because registering a CDM project is a process thing, it takes time. You have to go through verification, validation, and a lot of other things with the UN. So it will drag. And we had done the feasibility study, submitted our reports, and we're just sitting down practically waiting. And he had told me, he said, when this project starts, you won't even want to do any other thing. So just wait for the project to start. And I said, well, we can't sit down and be waiting. And he said, oh, he even has an idea. And I think he knew people from Arthur Guinness Fund, was able to raise about $150,000 worth of the project. No, that project was worth 300,000, sorry, but it was like 150 to 170 that came to us. And so we did that project for 15 months across northern Nigeria, deploying solar water filters for communities. So he just worked that out for me, and we did that. And by the time we were done finishing up that project, the cook stove project was ready to run, and they were paying us sizable amounts of money per month for our overheads. And then at the end of every year, we got a share of carbon, which is about, it was like 2 tons. 2 tons was sold for 15 euros or so. Then, even though it's really, really a bad market now, the money is less than 1 euro. So yeah, we tried. Most of the money we were making, we are mopping it up and building our solar business. And yeah, so we just kept going like that. And yeah, we're here.
And the rest is history. And the rest is history.
Exactly.
Wow. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing that. So, at what point did you resign, Habiba, from the not for profit that you're working with?
Well, I just walked away. I focused on my business, and once in a while I was going to the office if they needed me to help out with one or two things. But with time, my own work was just too much. I couldn't even
Was just too busy.
focus exactly. So I just continued facing my own. I didn't really like go officially and say, "Oh, I'm resigning." I mean, it's me and my husband now, so I just focused on my own and continued what I was doing.
No, I actually mean the NGO you are working with before you and your husband
Oh,
started the
okay. No.
partnership.
When we were setting up there, I told her about it. The founder then I told her this was what was going on, and she was like, "Oh, she really likes my hard work and all of that." But if I could just hold on for her because she has a Rotary project coming on, she would want me to be the state coordinator for. So at that time, because we were still setting up there, we hadn't gotten any serious project to do and all of that. I decided to start. But then my ex then came and he was very upset. He said, "How can you be doing another job? We're doing our own, da 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 da." Meanwhile, I had just focused and started the Rotary project. And even our funders from Germany were even around, a German man, and we had failed severally. But I spent only 2 weeks on that project, and I just said I had to tender my registration because it was a resignation because it was really causing problems at home for me. So I resigned. That was in 2007, I think. I just tendered my resignation, and I was very honest with the German guy. I told him straight up what was going on and all of that. And then meanwhile, during all of our travels together, I had spoken to him a lot about what we could do about this project to change things, make it work, and all of that. He really took it to heart. So even when I was leaving, he now begged me that I should just send him an email outlining everything I think will work, and he would take it forward. So I did that. As I speak with you now, the man calls me his Nigerian daughter, and he's my German father. He and his wife, they're in their 80s now, but they've been a serious part of my life, my children's life. My daughter was in their village visiting them just recently. So that's how close we became. Even after I left the project, we became family friends. I go to Germany. In fact, if I spend 1 year and I don't go and see him, I'm scared because they are now old and I just want to be seeing them. So yeah.
Close. Wow. Well, it's interesting how, at times people that we just meet randomly,
Yeah.
right, just turn and become family just because of the way we
Exactly.
relate and we build. Interesting. Interesting.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and to see you on the next episode.